It was nice, like good weather, good stuff. But I got actually my battery dead on my car, and it's funny. I think that I could identify what the problem was because of ChatGPT, and then I just went and changed the battery, and it was very good. I didn't even have to call mechanics. It was interesting experience.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, we literally can use for anything.
No, it was fun, because actually I
Yeah.
didn't know what's going on. I didn't know why it didn't start, and I was like, "What's happening?" I have no idea. And then I just, like went to ChatGPT. Hey, I have this car. Like, this is what's going on. Like, can you tell me what's happening? And then it asked me a few questions, and then like I sent a photo and all the things, and your battery is dead. I'm like, oh, okay, nice.
Mm,
And it was pretty straightforward, and I had even this tool that I could check uh, I could check the amount of volts that my battery has, and it was like below that it was needed. And I was like, no, okay, very clear, very pretty straightforward. So I saved, I don't know how many hours and money on doing that. So
yeah.
it was fun. But you also
Yeah.
need to
So
have brain, that's the hardest part.
right, right. So is it a gas car you got, or is it like a EV?
No, it's fuel card.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so basically gas, but it was you still need this battery to start the car, and
Hmm.
it was dead. It was like 10 volts, and I you need to have 12 to start the car. So basically, it was very old. I would say it was like 5-6 years, and you usually have to change them somewhere around 5-6 years. So
Yeah, yeah. I've heard about four, but yeah, that you're probably right.
yeah, yeah, plus minus. It depends. It depends on like what is the brand and like how often do you use it and all these things.
Yeah,
But yeah, here we are. I'm ready to talk about everything you will ask me, and can't wait to dive deep into the conversation. And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I was looking at a couple of your podcasts, and it's like really, for me, as a fellow podcaster interviewer, I always like to see how other people interview. And the thing I kind of want to ask you, or kind of what I gather, I noticed that you like to ask your guests similar questions. So is your goal to create like a look back video where you ask everyone the same question and they give different answers? Which I think is a really cool idea, but
kind of yes and no, I would say, because overall it's all about having the similar set of questions and getting like the bigger picture, because every person has different experience. And if someone will answer the same thing like 20 times, it means that, oh, maybe that's how it works. And then every person also has their different experiences. So I'm always jumping like into asking some follow-up questions based on their answers. It's kind of like
mm,
the same structure to start with. And then it helps me, for example, if I ask like one question to 30 people and then like 20 say like yes and 10 say no, most likely it's yes, or like closer to maybe. But if everyone says no, maybe, yeah, maybe it doesn't work that way. So and it's also a little bit easier. It's I kind of like
yeah,
save a little bit of time for me while having the similar questions and similar structures, and also people know what to expect. Because it's interesting, when I had podcasts around human lives, I never shared questions upfront, and people didn't know what to expect. And then we had this raw, very nice conversations. But when I do podcasts like about professional stuff, for example, about community ROI, it's connected anyhow with the company the person works for. They prefer to know questions upfront, and they prefer to keep it rather straight, I would say, because like people need to be careful. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, it works for me. Like, here are the questions, here's what you need to know, and then we'll just go with the flow. So that's the idea, to have like, and also it's all about expectations of people who are listening. So they expect that this conversation will be like going in this way, and that they can get extra information from each new person around the same topic.
interesting, interesting. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because I can tell you which ones I watched. I watched Why Being Human Beats Being Perfect in Business. That was my favorite one. He said, he says startups tend to say we're part of a family, but they usually use that when they're paying you below rate.
Yeah,
It,
it's the
it kind
funniest
of that
part.
that actually made me laugh when I was in the gym this morning. I was on the stairmaster, and I was like, "It's so
Yeah.
funny." Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I always, for me, it's kind of a red flag when a person say, "Yeah, you'll be our family." I'm like, "No, thank you. Already have a family. Like, I don't really need a
Hmm.
family. Like, yeah, we can be colleagues, we can be friends, but now, no. For me, one family is enough."
Yeah. 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 The other one I like was is design the work around who you are.
Hmm.
And I like how she touched on whenever she has a new idea, she creates a landing page. Like that's kind of been the story of my life the past 10 ideas I've had on. I create a landing page to see, a proof of concept or something that you can quote unquote sell, vaporware or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, it's so I remember it was a book called Lean Startup, and that was
Hmm.
I read it. I feel like 10 years ago, or I don't remember exact date, but like somewhere around, at least 6 years ago for sure. And it was about like the MVP, like minimum viable product. I didn't know about this. I thought that to create some kind of a product or a service, you have to like create all the idea, you have to code, you have to build everything, and then just go and sell it to customers. And when I actually learned that you can have landing page, you can like use, I don't know, $100 to do a little bit of advertisement and to see whether people actually care about it. And
Yeah.
after that only build a product. I was like, wow, is it even real? No way. I don't believe this. But ever since I was like, no way, I will build something like from scratch. I will go check if it works, if somebody cares about it. And afterwards I will just go and build this because like why waste time and money and nerves on something nobody cares about?
Yeah. Yeah. When I found out about how Microsoft got started and how, he basically sold vaporware and stuff, I'm like, wow, this is the way to go.
Yeah, like always, like keep learning, keep moving forward, and it's crazy. I just recently finished this book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It was so weird. I didn't read it, and now when I read it, I was like, yeah, I do exactly how it's written in the book, even though I didn't read it. How is it even possible? Like, okay,
I
it
love
means that
that
I'm
book.
doing something right. So yeah, makes sense.
I love that book.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. What's your favorite rule from that?
I didn't really like go like rule by rule, but what I always like is being positive and always like praising people. I hate criticizing people because what it will happen? Like if I tell someone that someone is did a bad job, will it change something? No, it will only make someone feels bad. I'd better praise people for what they are doing and even kind of like give them this credit, even if they didn't do as it has to be done. I will definitely encourage them and motivate them to keep on working instead of like going, "Hey, you did a bad job. Like now you have this problem." It's who cares? And I really like the
Yeah.
story about when Jack Welch came to his meal, one of his meals, and it was not enough production during like daily and nightly changes. That he asked like how many tons of metal was made by this team, like six. Okay, and he draw like big six on the floor of this meal. And then like next team came like what it means like, oh, big boss came and asked how many tons did we make. And then like next on the like overnight it was like six where it went away, it was seven. Next team like move away seven, it was 10. So they keep on producing more and more because they were kind of like competing with each other. And he didn't
Hmm.
tell them like, hey, it's a bad thing. He just okay, here is a number, like do whatever you want with it. And
Yeah.
it was actually very fun. So yeah, I would say it's more about being positive and motivating and engaging people instead of kind of like telling, you suck, because who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. Do it like constructively to where, it doesn't come off as being personal, right? Where it's more like, okay, this is how we should have done it. You didn't know this, blah, blah, blah. Right. So yeah. My favorite story from that book was when it was a guy, he was married, I think, or he had his own house, and he would have people come over to cut landscapers to cut cut the grass. And
Mhm.
so he noticed that they never cleaned up after they sewed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And so he asked them once, I think he asked them twice, and then he said, "You know what? I'm just gonna clean clean up the cut grass, and then
yeah,
I'll see what happens." And so he did that, and then the landscaper was like, we didn't clean up after ourselves. We know we didn't, but he asked us before, and he didn't tell me he did it." And from that day on, that they basically cleaned up after themselves. And the lesson that I really pull from that is that when people show you their best, you should believe them, right? And a lot of times, when you set that expectation, if you're reaching the right people, they're going to uphold that, do anything to uphold that reputation. And so
yeah,
that's what I found really interesting about that story, right?
yeah, yeah. I remember the story, so it was
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was interesting.
Cool, cool. So let's go on and get into this intro. What's up, world? My name is Corey Stay Trapping with Trap Talks, where we discuss the intersection of culture and tech. And today we have Yuri. Pronounce your last name for me. I don't want to mess it up.
Hey, hey, happy to be here. And yeah, Corey, it was actually a fun way on how we met, because of
Yeah, yeah.
LinkedIn, because of having conversation about communities, and we had a conversation with you and jumped on a call and then get to know each other. And now here we
Right,
are.
right.
So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. And is it Lazaruk? Is that how you pronounce your
Yes,
last name?
exactly.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So real quick info. Me personally, I like to just call you a connector, a networker. Reached out to me cold, and I always like when people reach out to me cold, right? And I don't know you from a can of paint, so it's always good to meet someone on the other side of the globe. But really quickly about Yuri, he's the and I would say you're a freelance advocate. But yeah, so you serve as the executive director of strategic partnerships and community for EMEA, for Freelancer Map. The You do also are the VP of Community and Growth at Freelance Unlock, podcast host for Community ROI, Sales Hero Community, Guardian Angel. I love that. Yeah, and you also operate. You're the host of Humans of Business podcast, which I absolutely love. I love how you really get people to peel the layer back and talk more about who they are and why they're doing what they're doing, which is very similar to how I like to do things. And yeah, and former founder of SEO Club Ukraine. Yeah, was there anything I missed? Anything you want to add?
It's my life story, ever since that you counted down, it's like started always SEO club because it was like the first community I've ever made. And it was very, very by accident. And then it was just keep growing and growing and growing. And I would say most of my life, I was kind of like a freelancer and independent professional. And currently I'm still doing that. So I'm still freelancing. I'm still building communities for businesses. I'm helping them to get the best out of their customers while also helping their customers to get the best out of the product. So kind of like connecting them in two-way street. And also, yeah, as you've said, I'm advocating for freelancers because I'm a freelancer myself, this independent expert. And I truly believe that you don't really need to be owned by company to get the best that you can. Sometimes best results are not someone who's on your full-time role. Sometimes you can get best results from someone on another part of the globe who is ready to work with you, who is ready to spend their time on your project and invest their heart in this project. And I truly believe that there are a lot of amazing humans out there. And that's what I'm trying to also do, to educate companies on how it's important to work with independent talent, how much value do they bring to the table, and yeah, how to make it work overall.
Right, right, right. So I want to ask you, because you've done this multiple times, but what what actually makes a great community builder?
You know, if you would ask me this question like 5 years ago, I would say it's all about empathy. It's all about human connection. And it's all about listening to other people and asking good questions and being like open and all the things. But now I would say, after I was working with a lot of companies, for a lot of businesses, if we are talking about building a community for a business, it means that this community has to also bring some business value. Has to help to grow your business. So the good community builder, of course, it has to be very empathetic, very understanding person who can go ask questions and not try to give all the answers, but who can connect the dots. And this person has to be able to understand what is the number one business goal and kind of like go back from it and see how, with the help of customers, with the help of clients, how can we reach this goal while also helping customers to reach their goals, because that's exactly how it works. When you invest in your people, they are happy, and your business's success is your customer success. So I would say, as a good community builder, you have to understand what is the business goal and understand how to connect these business goals with needs of your clients and how to make it a two-way street.
Cool, cool.
You are back.
Yep. Had to switch my camera. Cool, cool. So yeah, I found that interesting. You said, because I would have thought that you were going to say it's all about connecting with people. Um, but I had the similar epiphany when I was in college. When I was in community college, I became student government association president. And I remember people would just ask me a ton of questions. Where do you find this? Where you find that? And I realized, I'm like, it's impossible for me to know all the answers. I just need to point them in the right direction. So when you said it, I'm like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. Let me see. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can
Okay,
hear you.
cool, cool, cool. Great. So what what was it about podcasting that drove you to want to get more involved in podcasting? It seems like it was a natural progression from community building for you, since you've been doing that for multiple years. But what is it about podcasting that really attracted you?
I started podcasting as a way to connect with people, and it's the best way to get to know someone. Because when you ask, hey, let's go to have a coffee chat, let's jump on this 15, 30 minutes, people may say, oh, my calendar is busy, oh, I don't have time, and all this stuff. But then when you invite them, hey, let's go record a podcast, it's totally different story. People are like, oh my God, podcast. Yes, I would love to be there. Let's have a conversation. And it's like the best part. And once again, it's pretty much the same coffee chat conversation, but recorded. And of course, it has to have some kind of a topic. It has to have to bring value not only to me myself and how it brings value, because I can ask all the questions that I only want to ask this person around a specific topic. And the second one, it also has to serve the guest, because when you are inviting someone, they grant you their time, and you have to be very, very mindful of their time. And what I'm doing from my side, that I'm always trying to do my best to highlight my guest as much as possible. I always emphasize, I create like different clips, I create blog posts and stuff. So I do my best to highlight people. So hopefully other people can also learn from what I've learned about, and also they can go and connect with these people. So for me, podcast is the best way to get to know someone and also to connect. And of course, it's evergreen content generation machine, because if I'm currently doing podcasts, the independent workforce for freelancer map, and we're talking with leaders who hire freelancers, out of one episode we can create so many different pieces of content. It
Right.
can be the podcast itself, blog post, small clips, quotes, and then we continuously reuse this podcast. So one episode is like the whole content machine. So it's like both human and business. So for me, it's like the best mixture.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the, I guess that's one of your podcasts too, or is it one of like the channels within your podcast, Humans of Business?
Yeah, it's another podcast. So currently, okay, at the moment, I'm doing two podcasts. It's
Okay,
Community ROI, where I speak about connecting business goals with community goals and building communities for businesses. And the second one is the independent workforce. The one that you mentioned before, the Humans of Business, I decided to sunset because it was nice, but I spent a lot of time into this and it was more like a hobby. And now I'm moving more with a project that makes money. And I was like, I don't really have time for this. I made already a good amount of friends. And instead of just add in extra layers, extra friends, in addition. Why don't I just go and make deeper connections with those people who I already know? So I decided, okay, I'll keep these 2 podcasts for business purpose, but my personal connections, I will just keep them building in real life. So we already started. Why don't continue? So yeah, currently I'm just on 2 podcasts.
Got it.
Just.
Just do you have like another podcast waiting to come out?
No, not yet. Not yet. I might have some, so I'm still open if there is a company or a business who wants to create a podcast. It's one of my business proposals because I know how to create podcast from scratch, and I can build a podcast for a company if they want to create this content generation machine, and if they want to have some kind of a thought leadership into a specific niche. So that's what I'm also proposing. So no more new podcasts from my side, but if there will be a client who will pay me a good amount of money, yeah, let's talk about.
Documents in, decisions out. Go to doculingo.com/traptalks2040 to get your 14-day free trial. And don't forget to sign up for our Patreon page. We out.
It.
Yeah, love it, love it. Um, you're so passionate about freelancing. So I kind of have like a two-part question. Um, what was it about freelancers that attracted to you? Was there a certain environment where you noticed that it's a lot easier for me just to go out and make money myself versus to try to get a job? And then obviously, how did that lead to freelancer? What's called freelancer map? How did that? So two-part question. What led you to becoming a freelancer? And then obviously the next question is, how did that lead you to what you're doing with freelancer map?
You know, it's not an easy answer because I would say that I just dislike being managed. And if going to a job, there is a huge probability that someone would like to manage and tell me what to do. And I don't really like when people tell me what to do. I usually prefer to have this like pure conversations. And if as a freelancer, I'm not being said what to do. So basically, I have a task, and then it's up to me how to get it done. And even like I'm currently working with a freelancer map, there are a few people on the teams that I'm working with. It's not that someone is managing someone. We are like having this pure conversation, and we're exchanging our thoughts and ideas how to best move forward. On the other side, how did I get to work with freelancer map? So I worked before with another company called 9am and Code Control, and it was also a community for freelancers and a company that helps freelancers to grow. And then I was working on a freelancer side, so I helped freelancers to be better in marketing, in branding, in selling themselves, and getting clients. And now I met a person from Freelancer Map and we had a conversation. Why don't you come and work with us? You know all the things about freelancers. Why don't you go to the other side, to people who hire freelancers, and explain them why it's important to hire this independent talent, why they have to invest into their external workforce, not just internal workforce. So basically, I'm still working with freelancers, but kind of from the other side. So I'm educating companies on why should they work with freelancers and how to hire them.
Got it. Got it. So you said something interesting that you don't like to follow orders. Where does that actually come from? I've seen that and heard that from a lot of entrepreneurs. They don't like to follow orders per se, right? Is that something that happened like the way you grew up, with your parents give you more ownership of decision making, or were you the kid that just always broke stuff and figured it out later?
I literally have no idea. But I would say like just what coming to my mind right now is that I would say that I'm a rather smart person, and I just can't help waiting for orders, or I hate talking about something for like 10 meetings. For example, I know friends who are working in the corporate, and to make a simple small decision, to take the small action, they have to go through the whole hell of talking to like 50 people to
Yeah.
approve this small decision. Like, why people on earth are you wasting so much time on? Like, why can't you just act and then, like get some responsibility and answer for what you are doing? So there is this saying that it's easier to ask for,
It's
damn it,
easier
I'm
to
I'm
ask
I'm
for
losing it.
for
for forgiveness
forgiveness
than it is
versus
to ask for
permission.
permission.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's how it works for me. I will go break some stuff, make 10 mistakes, choose what is the best way to deal with it. And then while other people will be just keep talking about what to do, I will already know like what works, what doesn't, how to move forward. So that's exactly why it works for me. And that's exactly why I love being a freelancer. Because once again, nobody tells me what to do. They just tell me, hey, here is a task, you know what to do. Even if I don't know what to do, I will find out. But I just hate procrastinating and I hate spending time on like doing this nothing, doing this talking. So less small talks, more hard work, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. So Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm not sure if you know who he is.
Yeah.
He put out an interesting stat. He said that 40% of Americans have some type of side hustle. I think I'm not sure if the survey was from 2025 or 2026, but he put it out on Instagram. What are some major trends that you're noticing with freelancing? Are you seeing like an increase in freelancers? Like kind of walk me through like the big macro trends that you're seeing.
I can't tell you specific sources and numbers, but I can tell there are at least 5 reports from huge companies like Ernst& Young or PricewaterhouseCoopers, PVC.
Yeah.
Those who are doing like a lot of market research, they are showing that, as you've said, more and more and more people are getting some kind of a side work, or more and more people they are turning into independency, because having a full-time job is not a safety net anymore. It was some time ago where people had like, oh, I'm working on a factory, I'm getting paid, and I can work here for 50 years. As we see what's going on in the world, there are layoffs almost like every month. And you don't know. You can be laid off in just one day. You're just turning your laptop in the other morning and see that it's not turning on, and you can do nothing. And then you get an email, oh, sorry, you have been laid off. So it's not very, and people are getting into a situation where they spend a lot amount of time working for one company just to be laid off. So they didn't build their personal brand, they didn't create their offers, they didn't do anything. So basically they don't have a name uh, around a side of like within this company. And when they get into these situations that they are being laid off, what is next? They struggle to find a job. Okay, if you are a great professional, you have some network, amazing. Most likely you will find some good job in, I don't know, months, 2 months. But once again, it's a little bit of a stressful period. But if you are, as most of people, most likely you don't have a good network. Most likely you don't have your personal brand. And then this one day layoff turns into like from 6 to 1 year struggle of finding new job, especially in tech. It's getting harder and harder. AI is replacing people. Once again, you have to be educated in AI. You have to go learn it. But you don't have time when you are working a full-time job. You either do it on your own as a hobby, or you don't have time. So, and as a freelancer, as an independent expert, you cannot allow yourself to wait. You cannot
Hmm.
allow someone to lay you off. You are always on the edge of technology. You always have to move forward. You constantly have to work on your personal branding and positioning. You have to constantly fill up your pipeline with upcoming clients. So you are running your own business and you are the only person responsible for what you are doing. So it's not an easy way, but it works when you are putting time and efforts into this, and like very very small steps. You don't have to sit and like, I don't know, change your life overnight, but I would say that it's so much better to get ready for what's happening in the world instead of like waiting to be laid off or whatever it is. So I would say it's kind of, I'm not saying that's a better control. It's kind of a control of who you are as a professional, at least for me. So who knows?
Right. And Price Water Cooper was who you were talking about earlier. We have a quote. I think somebody said it. They may have said it on your podcast, somebody else, but we stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Right. The idea is that you're always prepared. Well, you're not gonna always be prepared, but whenever you're hit with something surprising, you can roll with the punches because you prepared yourself to an extent. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and yeah, it's gotten really really crazy in tech. Like I tell people all the time. I graduated college in 2010, and this is the worst I've ever seen the job market. I've never seen it like this before. And when I was in the job market in 2010, there were about mainly three generations of people that was primarily buying for jobs. Millennials, I think is it Gen X above the millennials, and then baby boomers.
Yeah.
Now it's pretty much like 4 to 5 generations of people fighting for the same job, right? You got baby boomers aging out, but a lot of them still need to work. And so it's gotten, very much so competitive. And one of the things, again, why I wanted to talk to you too is that, you've been on this freelancer wave for, I just met you, maybe 2 months ago, but you've been on this freelancer wave for a while. Are you noticing people getting into freelancing more now directly, or is it more like, are they treating it more like a hobby?
I can tell you that there is a difference because it's kind of like two sides of a coin. Some people are coming back from freelancing into full time because they just can't deal with all this like ups and downs. They don't know how to find clients. They don't know how to sell. They don't know how to market themselves. And it's really hard job. As a freelancer, you are not waiting for someone to tell you what to do or giving you another project. You have to be sales expert, marketing expert, networking expert, accountant, tax expert. And it's like you're running your one person business.
Yeah.
And from the other side, I also see experts who got some knowledge, who got some experience, who are tired of working for one company, who are tired of being owned, they are moving into this independent. But before doing that, they build a pipeline of clients. So it's not like okay, whatever, I'm just going to freelance. No, they do a lot of preparation. They work through like what they're doing, what kind of problem do they solve for their clients. They create a very clear offering. They create a very, very straightforward positioning, and when they have it, they use their previous examples. For example, they work for Microsoft, Google, whatever you call these companies. So they have this portfolio. They know what they are doing. They can clearly communicate. They can go and find clients. They have a pipeline. They have some people ready to work with them already. And then they go independent because it's the most stupidest thing that you might only do, that decide that, okay, I'm a mediocre expert and I will go freelancing. You will suck. You will have so many problems. You will hate your life. You will hate your decision. But if you're doing it gradually, as you've said, if you at least have it as a hobby, but you always invest in your hobby, at one point your hobby can become your mainstream of income. And it's all about you. It's all about how do you think about this. So I would say that it's kind of like two sides of one coin. Some people cannot deal with it and they turn into full time, but experts who build their brand, who build their offer, who build their pipeline, they're moving into independency.
Got it. Got it. So you t- you've been saying this recurringly, right? Like people need to build their brand, personal brand. How does one go about building their personal brand?
It's like $1 million question, yeah. If I knew all the answers, yeah, I have no idea what would happen. But what you do, first of all, you need to clearly understand what is that you are doing, but not in a way of a title that I'm a community builder, but how exactly do you solve a problem for your clients? How do you help them grow their business? What pain do you solve for them? Because you can be a painkiller or you can be a vitamin, and you don't really want to be a vitamin. You need to be a painkiller, and you need to clearly understand what exactly that you are doing. And then it's continuous doing and trying and talking to people and asking them what are the challenges, what they're dealing with. And then every time that you work, you are creating a use case. You are creating like, what was the problem? What did I do? What are the results? And then you are just moving and moving and moving and moving forward. By doing this, once again, you learn only by doing. You cannot go to ChatGPT and ask it, hey, can you help me with my branding or my positioning? yeah, there is a good starting point, but you learn only by doing, or also you can learn by following similar experts who are already few steps ahead, and you can go see what they are doing, maybe even try to connect with them and have a conversation with them and have them maybe as mentors for yourself. And only by talking to people, only by doing stuff, only by improving what you're working on, you will get this better and clearer offer and position. Me myself, I've been a freelancer. Okay, I've been an entrepreneur for like 10 years, kind of. And out of it, kind of like 4 years, I was a freelancer, because before that, I was working for myself. And now I work for businesses as an independent expert. And I can tell you, I'm still struggling with my positioning. I still don't have it like super clear. I have like a general idea, and I can explain to a person when I have a conversation with them, what exactly do I do? How can I help them? But I still struggle to make it clear on my website and on LinkedIn so that clients automatically go to me. So I still have to build my personal brand by going on podcasts, by going on conferences, by making posts on social media, by sharing my experience, by talking to hundreds and thousands of people. So it's all about talking, 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 and talking. And I remember it was a person, Gabriela Yan. I had another podcast before that. It's called Freelance Sucks, about the challenges freelancers have. And she told me, as a freelancer, you have to shamelessly plug yourself in. You have to shamelessly promote yourself. Not in the way that, oh, look at me, I'm the best person in the world, but in the way that here I am, here is what I do, here are the clients, here is what I've done for them. Let's do this for you. So you have to talk about yourself. Some people are being shy. It's like, oh, no, 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 no. I will not talk about my projects. I will not talk about my strong sides. But you're missing out. If you are not talking about, who will talk about it? Clients? Yes, maybe. But if we go to Google reviews, how many reviews are good ones telling like, oh, it was the best service or the best company I've ever had, and how many are shitty reviews? So it's so much, if people are disappointed or they dislike something, they will go and talk about it everywhere. But if they're happy with you, they won't. They won't. So you have to be this person who takes this information from your clients, from your projects, from your experience, and put it out there. Otherwise, sorry, not sorry, but it won't work.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Because that's even one thing that I personally struggle with, because I obviously I have my own podcast, and when I follow, one thing I personally hate is when I'm following a podcast on IG, as an example, Instagram, and then I'm following the personal account of the host of that podcast, and they always post the same thing, right? So for me, like, what is that healthy balance? And so, I told myself, like, okay, I'm just going to post one video of each interview on my Instagram, the one that appeals to me the most, because it's like, for me, I don't know. It's like, if I have someone following me, my personal page and my Trap Talks page, I think that'd be like a weird experience if we're posting the same thing every time. So it's like one thing that I kind of like joking in my head and thought about a lot.
By the way, it's also very important that you mentioned that you think that you are posting the same thing every time because you post that. But I can tell you, social media doesn't work that way. If someone will ever hear you saying something over and over again, you are lucky, because social media works in
Mm,
that way that it shows your content to different people, and usually people skim through social media. So you might think that you are talking about the same thing, but actually I know some people who've never heard about it. So I feel like, me personally, I'm repeating the same thing over and over again. But some people don't even know this. And if I message them, hey, I've been just recently talking about this stuff, go check this post. And people are like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see it. How much have you been talking about it? I'm like, I've been talking about it for 2 years and you've never heard about it. So yeah, you have to repeat. By the way, that's the difference between people who are continuously being successful and people who are not getting where they want to get, because they are afraid of repeating themselves. But you have to repeat yourself. You have to choose what works best, what you stand for, what are your professional parts, and keep on repeating them. People are not remembering you. People are not seeing everything that you are. It's only you who knows, my God, I can't post this video because I posted it already months ago. You can post the same video like 5 days in a row, and I can tell you there will be people who will tell you, oh, I didn't see it. And it's okay. So yeah, you have to continuously repeat. And also, as comedians, like how do they choose what is the best talk to deliver? They constantly try and jokes, and they take the best jokes into their main program. Basically, it's pretty much the same thing of being an entrepreneur or freelancer or a thought leader. You are trying things and you are taking the best parts and you put it into your main program, and you keep repeating it over and over and over again.
So I'm gonna accept your challenge. I'm posting everything on personal.
Amazing.
Yeah. You mentioned this. You said entrepreneur. What's the difference between an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur for people who aren't?
Entrepreneur and who? Sorry?
What's the difference between an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur? Because you said that you did an entrepreneurial work at one point.
I have actually no idea what it means. I like, for me, entrepreneur. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's your accent that is kind of getting me, but basically, an entrepreneur usually starts their own business or whatever, what have you, from scratch. An entrepreneur goes into an existing enterprise or company, and they may create a new product or they may create a new department. Right. Yeah, that's what I would want to make sure, because a lot of times I don't like to assume people know everything, so I like to break down certain things as we're talking.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know that, actually, that there is a difference. But yeah, I would say both work.
Yeah.
For me, everything works.
So one thing I noticed about you every time we spoke is that you have you go off like a peaceful or like a positive, or like where does that actually come from?
It's a good question. I had this thing that when the war in Ukraine started in 2022, it's been for 4 years. It's crazy, and it's not
Yeah.
stopping yet.
And
And what I saw, that the number one most important thing for me was that me and my family are safe and together, and everything else didn't matter. Because like, oh, I'm afraid about like my apartment. Who cares about your apartment? Oh, I'm afraid about my stuff. Nobody gives a shit about it. The only one thing that best that we had is a car, and we could move. And even it was hard to put gas into the car, because in every gas station I could only put up to 20 liters, and 20 liters is like less than half of my tank. So I couldn't just buy more because it was limited. And I understood that who cares what's going on? So as long as you are healthy, alive, and your family is with you and everyone is healthy and alive, everything else doesn't actually matter. And why should I be kind of like this negative and whining and like talking shit about people or stuff or
right.
like situations? I will focus on positive side. And also it's all about the energy. If you are negative, you are getting negative energy to yourself. And it's like the laws of physics. Maybe it's a little bit different, because usually like plus go to minus, but in reality, minus go to minus and plus go to plus. So when I'm being positive, on my way, on my life journey, I meet only positive people. Don't meet like whiny, sad, negative people, because we are just not, we are having different vibes. We are not good together. And it's clearly seen. And, people who are negative and sad, they can't stand talking to me, because like, oh man, why are you so positive? But like, why should I be negative? So that's the question. And yeah, I even have this tattoo on my hand. So
Yeah, I can't. Oh, okay. Smiley face. Yeah, I see it. Okay.
yeah, but it's like, there is a backstory, because I have two moles that like the eyes, and then I have a scar, and this scar goes a little bit down, and it looks like sad face. And I was like, I don't really like this. I want to change this. So I went to a tattoo master, and she made me this bracket. So I have a positive smile. And also it was a fun thing, because she told me that it was the smallest tattoo she's ever done. And she basically did it like, I don't know, for 2 minutes or something like that. So, like you can change your life or whatever you want in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's pretty simple, but as long as you are positive and as long as you see the best things in life, your life will be better. But as long as you are negative and you've seen all this, there is so much shit going in the world that
Yeah.
if we just focus on that, why to live? I have no idea. So I prefer a positive side and also encourage, motivate, engage other people, because if we are all motivated, engaged, positive, and like looking in the world, I'm not saying to, look in the worst like pink glasses or like not seeing the shitty side, but we can still see the shitty side and thinking, how can we change this? How can we make it better? So in this way, I believe that life will be better and the world will be better. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. So how I want to figure out the best way to ask this. So how has the war with Ukraine and Russia impacted how you kind of run your business and live your day to day? Has that really changed much? It sounded like you were able to kind of get out the way, but like how has it like impacted you and your family?
Look, everything changed, like for 30 plus year, I didn't think that I would leave my country, and then I left it. And basically everything that I was working on, everything that I was living in, like I left not that overnight, but like rather fast. And I was like, nothing is permanent. Basically, once again, why should I care about some stuff if life is happening here and now and you never know what might be happening? So it also taught me to be more flexible
Mm,
and to invest more into myself, my family, our health, and our happiness instead of investing in things. Because things you can buy, but like health, happiness, safety, it's hard to buy actually. Everything changed, and basically, if it's crazy to say, but if not the war, we might not have this conversation right now, because
mm,
I also started working a lot with international world, and I joined the international community world. I started working with clients all over the world instead of just working with clients in Ukraine. And I would say that I became I have less boundaries currently because of that. And I understand that the world is not like your country is not your boundary,
right.
but the world is the limit, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's say in a perfect world, the war ends. Do you see yourself moving back to Ukraine, or do you see yourself staying where you are? I don't know which country you're in right now, but
Yeah, I have no idea. So it's also when people ask me like, "Hey, are you staying here or are you moving somewhere else?" I don't really know. So once again, being flexible, investing in yourself, investing in your family, working as long as you can work. I don't know. Maybe in a week I'll be where you are right now and we will meet in real life. I have no idea. So what I also learned is not to make like very, very long term plans. Yes, I can have some goals, I can have some dreams, but it's not like, when you are going to corporate interview and they ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I have no idea what will happen in 5 years. The world may not exist in 5 years with what is going on right now in the world. I don't know. So for me, when you ask me like, what are your plans? I have no idea. So it's for me. I remember it was the movie Chocolate, and it was Johnny Depp, and it was like I don't remember her name. It was like French actress, and she was moving from town to town, from city to city, and she was moving with the wind. And the wind blows. It's time to go. So, when the right wind will blow, it will be the time to go. And I have no idea when it will. I will just feel it.
yeah, I love that. And one thing you said that I can relate to a lot is when you move from your place of origin or where you have comfort, it just forces you to grow. And I'm originally from North Carolina, and I moved to California, and I only had like one cousin there that I had met like a week before I went out through a mutual cousin. And so being on my own for the first time on a separate coast, that was eye opening. And one of the things that I really drew from that is that we're all very different, but we're all the same. The
Exactly.
difference in us is obviously how we look, where we're from, our language, our religion, but we ultimately are the same. Like we want to have security, right? We want to have a hot meal, we want our family to be straight. And so, when you was talking about moving to the other country and how it forced you to get involved in the international community. I mean, I'm looking at LinkedIn and I noticed that there's 5 people that that I know, and I'm like, wow, how did this guy, how did they know you? And a lot of them I know really well. So um, that was a good indicator to me about your character. But yeah, moving out of your comfort zone, you know, I guess you're innate to be a freelancer, right?
I have no idea what comfort zone is, So basically, it's all about that. And when people are talking about moving out of comfort zone, I'm like, do you mean living? Because basically the whole life is trying something, and trying something you might be afraid of, and talking to strangers, talking to random people you might meet somewhere, asking for help. It's like the craziest part. It's so hard to ask for help, at least for me, but sometimes I need to do this. And it's so much easier to help someone when they ask, and it's so hard to ask for help. So there are a lot of things, included in that. And as you've said, we have like 5 mutual connections, but I wonder why it's like such a small amount of people. Usually it's much bigger. Sometimes I'm connecting with people with whom we have like 300 mutual connections. I'm like, how the hell on earth we haven't been connected yet with 300 mutual connections? So yeah, and once again, it's all about like standing where you're standing. Of course, being flexible. Sometimes you have to change your mind when you have new incoming information, and it's totally good. It's also something that I was not used to while growing up, because usually people told, "Hey, you're a man. You have to stand your ground. You have never changed your opinion." I'm like, yeah, it's stupid, because if I see that something is clearly wrong, why should I stay my ground? I
Right.
will change my opinion and move in the right direction. So it's a very stupid thing. But yeah, I have no idea what the comfort zone is.
That's funny you say we just have 5 people in common. Why don't we have more? I actually was surprised that I know a lot of them very well. We've had conversations, like I know them very well. Like I have a lot of connections on LinkedIn I don't even know. People will hit me up and say, you know this person? I'm like, I don't really know them. I don't know if I can make an introduction for you. But that's like one of the indicators that I use to figure out, who I'm talking to, right? Like Wayne Sutton was one of the people. I actually interviewed Wayne Sutton. Interesting. He's from North Carolina, like me, and he was a part of my early aspiration of leaving. He was actually inspired me to leave North Carolina because he left
Hmm.
before I did, and I'm like, wow, if he's leaving, maybe I need to leave too. And then I ended up having later conversations with him, and he had some of the similar experiences that I had here, where I felt like I wasn't getting opportunity that I
Yeah.
felt like I
Yeah.
deserved. Um, and so yeah, seeing that you were connecting to him, I'm like, oh, okay, you're definitely a cool guy. You got to be. One thing I want to ask you, and I've noticed, is that you're very assured of yourself, but like you know how you don't try to, it doesn't seem like you're trying to act like somebody else. It seems like you're just acting, this is how you act. So how did you become so assured of yourself? Where does that actually come from?
I definitely read it later, but I recently read somewhere, and I believe that I saw this quote 2 times, that everyone else's roles are already taken, so it's better to play your own role. And
I like
it's
that.
always, I had at least 2 or 3 people told me when we met on LinkedIn and then we met in real life, they told me, you know what? Like, you are on social media exactly who you are in real life. And I was like, is it even possible to be in another way? But no, as you've said, some people are playing the role. They're like showing off on LinkedIn or on social media or whatever you choose. They like build on this picture, and then you meet them in real life and you don't understand. Sometimes when you see people have on LinkedIn old photos, and then you see this person in real life, and you might not understand that it's this person. That's
Yeah.
why I'm always telling to people that I'm talking to, hey, always update your LinkedIn page, because when you meet someone in real life, they might not understand that it's you. So it's the same thing here. So if I'm playing some games, I might forget what I was talking about. I might forget if I lie about who I am. I might forget about it later. I might get in trouble when I talk to people that told me like, "Hey, you've been talking about this." I'm like, I have no idea that I told about it. So it's so much easier to consistently be myself and talk about what I'm talking and show up as I'm in real life, because I don't need to remember all those stuff. If you ask me something that I've been talking about 6 months ago, there is a huge probability that it will be the same now. Or if it's different, it means that I got some extra information, that I learned something, and that I changed my mind, and now I'm talking about different stuff. But I'm not trying to play games, because why? It takes a lot of energy. It's so much better just to be who you are. And it's also, once again, people are afraid of what other people will think about them. But the craziest part is that people are thinking about themselves. They are not thinking about
Yeah.
you. So why should I care about what people think about me if they think about themselves anyway? So I'll just be myself. And if we click with someone, it's amazing. If not, who cares? There are 8 billion people out there. I'll definitely find someone else to click with. So it's totally good.
Yeah. It's I like to call it self-selection, right? When you put out an image, you put out an energy, you're going to get that energy back, right? So, make sure you're putting out the persona, the image or whatever that you can actually live with, like I'm really, really big on that. Like, so like, love that quote. Can you say it for me again? That quote you said, every role has been taken. It's up to you to find your own.
Every role has been taken, and the only one role left is yours. Why should you play someone else instead of playing you? Because every other lives are taken already. People are living them.
Yeah. I'm going to let you know that's going to be the title of this interview. So that's usually how I title my interviews. No, you're laughing. I'm dead serious. So when I title my interviews, I title them based on a quote that pulled out that really stuck to me. And I'm like, I might have to put that on the shirt too. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's amazing. It's a good idea. I will maybe steal it from you.
Hey, go ahead. I got it from somebody else too. So, I think it was Picasso or Steve Jobs that said this, good artists create, great artists steal, and Mark
And
Zuckerberg's
by
a
the way,
great.
it was also a book called "Still Like an Artist," and I read it. I believe it was. I won't lie. I don't want to mistake an author. But there is like "Still Like an Artist," and there are like trilogies. There are 3 books, and what I really love that if you are creating something new, like you are not getting it from nowhere. You are being influenced by all the books that you've read. You are being influenced by all the music that you've listened to, by all the conversations that you've ever had. And of course, you have your own personal experience. So no matter how hard you try to create something unique, you will definitely steal sometimes from someone else. And it's not really kind of stealing, it's kind of like moving forward. You are taking the legacy and you're building upon that. So of course, when, for example, I'm quoting someone and I remember who am I quoting, I'm always trying to be pay it back to a person that I heard it from. I'm always trying to mention, hey, this is what I learned from this person, etc. But it becomes an inevitable part of me. And I don't know, currently there are a lot of conversation whether like about this IP and whether AI is stealing people intellectual property. I don't know. Of course, if you are like copying someone's book word by word, maybe you are stealing. But if you are getting something and implementing in your life and then you are talking about it in your own words, I don't know if it's stealing actually.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this in regards to like AI, and I spoke to a tech founder. He's bootstrapping his company. He told me that he's not creating any patents. And I said, well, why are you creating any patents? He said, well, people will take the language in your patent because it's public information. You can actually go and search. And then they're putting that inside of or ChatGPT and then asking it, prompting and saying, hey, how can I do the same thing without patent infringement? Right. And so I can see from that angle, how, why people are saying, plagiarism. I think plagiarism is bad to a certain extent. But
Yeah.
with that same token, I think what you're getting at is the creativity or the spontaneity of when you come up with ideas when you're creating something, because it's really just a combination of you or what you're putting in, right? And so if you're doing something that's very like unique, then you essentially don't have like any competitors. Like, yeah, like I use myself as an example. Yeah, there's tons of podcasts out there, right? There's a lot of black men doing podcasts, but there's no one with my lived experience living on the East Coast, living on the West Coast, talking to, C-suite tech founders, talking to up and coming artists, right? I have a very unique and lived experience. And I think that's what you're getting at, where it's more about the creativity and the combination of bringing
Yeah.
all these different experiences together, right? We all have, a very unique voice in lens. So
Yeah, it's all about your unique voice. It's all about your personal experience. It's all about how you connect those dots. It's all about the puzzle that you are gathering. Of course, I totally agree with you.
yeah, yeah. Now I got to ask you. So, and I wanna. So, like here in the U.S., you have obviously Trump or Republicans and Democrats, and depending on who you're around, like I actually have close friends who are Republicans. One that admitted that voted for Trump, but they're a great person. So when you're looking at the conflict with your home country in Russia, when you see a Russian, is it like, I don't like you? Or is it more or less like, we're just on different sides, but we're like, so how is it your interaction with Russians? Cause I mean, I've seen pictures, Russians and Ukrainians y'all look pretty much the same people. I mean, but you live there or live there. So I feel like you would be better to agree with that. But is there like, have you noticed like Ukrainians and Russians are kind of like butting heads, like on the civilians side, or is it more or less just like, you know what, that's just political. That ain't got nothing to do with us.
I would say the main difference is what you have in your mind. And if you just want to live your life, you don't want people to go and try to kill you, and you just want to develop, you just want to move forward, it's like one part of people. But if you have empirical ambitions, if you want to restore your kind of like old empire and you believe that you are the best human in the world, I don't really know if it's a good way to live in nowadays reality. So it's not about the question versus like Ukrainians versus Russians or whatever. I would turn it into a question: good people versus bad people. And it doesn't really matter what nationality you have or like what color or race you are. You can be a very shitty, like white person, or you can be the best, whatever you call it, whatever you name like people in the world. And I don't really believe in these differences like race, skin color, ethnicity. Like as you've said before, we all have just one needs. We want to be alive, we want to be healthy, we want to have a hot meal, we want to be safe. And all those stupid dickheads who want to kill others and to grab something from other people by power, I just don't like them. And that's it. So yeah, I would just turn it this way.
Yeah, yeah, and that's like how I look at the thing um with Republicans and Democrats, right? And what I really realize, and really realize, is that we all kind of want the same thing, right? We all want to be safe. We all, it just, a lot of times what I found is that these national lines and these party lines, they just really divide us to their benefit, to our detriment. There's a lot of power that could be made in division, right? So
It's always like that. There is always someone who's benefiting, when there is a country leader or like a business leader or whatever, if they try to divide people for some reason, most likely they want to control these people. Most likely they want to get something out of them. Maybe they want to make money because of these people or like become better for an account of those people. And nobody actually cares about people. And people are so stupid. People do not care about themselves too. They listen to what they've been told and they truly believe in it without even trying to understand what is wrong or right. And I can tell you that there are not that many people who has their own mind, who has their own brain. It's so much easier to be brainwashed and do what you've told to be. That's what I'm talking about. I hate being managed. When someone is telling me you have to do it this way, I'm like, why? And if the person doesn't have a clear answer that I understand, that I believe in, like, I won't do this. But most people are not even asking why. They've told to be do this and like, okay, I will do that. Why do I think? This person told me to. They are a leader. I believe them. But like, I'm always questioning what's in it for me? Why do you care about me, or do you care about yourself? Are you really acting in my interests, or do you want to get out something out of me for yourself and use me as a tool? Like, no, if you are using me as a tool, I want to get paid very good. And I want to be on a peer relationships,
Right,
that I
right.
know that I'm doing it, like, not, there are people who are getting paid to go to the war, and they're getting paid like a big amount of money to go and kill other people. No way I will do this. No way I will get paid to go and kill other people. No, it's stupid. But there are people who take money for that.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, like, I truly believe that people need to get better education and to use their mind a little bit more than they are currently using it.
Right, right. So how do you keep how do you
Talk to many different people, and it's the best way, and understanding that there is more than one way to be right, and understanding that as long as we are not hurting each other, you might have any thoughts you want. I don't really care, as long as you are not going to my house and trying to put me and my family out of it with using a power. And I don't really care if you are Republican or Democrat. I don't give a shit, actually. Because for me, all it matters is what kind of human you are, what kind of conversation we are having.
Right.
And I see that we are having a good conversation. I don't really care what are your political views.
Right,
Or
right.
I don't care, I don't know, like, in what way you like, I don't know, pizza with pineapples or without it. I don't give a shit. If we will go to a restaurant and you will order with pineapple and I'm not, or vice versa, who cares? I'm
Right.
not giving this pizza to you, or you are not giving this pizza to me. We're having our own meals, and then we are having this discussion, we're having a good conversation. So once again, the more you talk to different people from different countries, from different faces, from different continents, from different background, from different neighborhoods, the bigger the more you expand your horizon. And the bigger you have a horizon, you understand that people are very, very different. And still, at the same, most of people want just to live their life, to get some kind of money, to be able to travel, to be able to eat, to be able to live, and that's it. They don't need anything else. So yeah, just talk to other people, go read books, go listen to podcasts, and try to keep your mind open, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. Love it. So when you're not evangelizing freelancing, what do you do when you're not podcasting? You only got 2 now, right? Am I right? 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah, so when you're not evangelizing freelancing, when you're not podcasting, what are some things you do just for, like for fun?
As of course, like, traveling with my family, with my wife, with my kid, with like going to nature, learning some stuff, like reading books. Like, there is a whole well of knowledge in like the books, and it's really hard to get the right books to read, because everyone currently reading books, and you have to be very careful of what books you are reading.
Yeah.
And I recently started to think about getting more into this hardware stuff, because everyone is talking about AI. Everyone knows how to build things with uses of some ChatGPT or other LLMs. But to be able to do that, you need to have a hardware. You have to build these data centers. You have to do something with your hands. And I can tell that not that many people know how to do this. So I'm thinking that, to kind of like picking up on this hobby, on doing some micro schemes and like creating something, just knowing how it works, knowing how electricity works, knowing how mechanisms works. We're on the edge of this robotic revolution, knowing how to create robots. I believe it's very important to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually only know one person personally that can write code and also make the hardware.
You see,
He's
that's
he's
that's
yeah, he's been doing that for like 10 years. Well, actually, no, probably about 20 years. Yeah, he's very very special guy. So when you talked about, because I'm seeing a lot of people who are building LLMs to actually run their own personal data on like Raspberry Pis. Like that's what you made me think of. And there's China's doing a lot of I think it was China, somebody in China where they're basically was it a Raspberry Pi? I think it was Raspberry Pi where they basically were able to run the LLMs on a Raspberry
yeah.
Pi for the home. And so that when you talk about it, I think you're definitely on to something, especially when you touch on data security, right? Because that's what I'm hearing. And I actually met a guy who's using OpenClaw at Startup Weekend, where he's using OpenClaw and he has his own server, which is basically a computer sitting in his house to run his models and automations and stuff. And then I can actually see that happening in the future, especially when you, like I said, when you think about data security, once people are more aware of it. But honestly, I think privacy is gone. It's like, so that's a whole nother
You know
subject.
what I also see and hear from experts that I'm talking to about this AI stuff, etc., that as you've said, we might see in the near future people moving from LLMs, this large language models, to SLM, like small language models, where you are building your personal language models that helps you to use a computer or like whatever device you use as your second brain, someone to talk to, like creating your digital twin. And you don't really want it to be public. You want just to keep your knowledge within your bubble and just to have like the person that you can talk to, kind of, because it's hard to talk to myself. That's what I'm trying to do with ChatGPT or whatever. Like I'm trying to put my thoughts, ideas in, and then kind of like talk to it as to me, because sometimes I need someone to tell me, no, you're wrong, or no, oh yeah. I don't really want to hear all the time that yes, you are totally right. No, I want to hear that I'm wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, like that's one thing I found about using ChatGPT. Ended up cutting my subscription to it just because of agreement they made with the U.S. government. It seemed pretty shady, so I stopped paying them. I'm just using Claude. But what I found with ChatGPT, it can be very optimistic. So I always like to put in there, be realistic, right? Like making sure to not just let me feel good. Like tell me that you know tell me realistically what's the probability of me being able to pull this off or what have you, right? So yeah, and I actually found, depending on what you're researching or doing, the small language models tend to be better anyway, because the large language models have too much data, right? So if let's say you're trying to figure out what happened to your car, right? We was talking about your battery earlier, right? You probably created a prompt that said, "Hey, you're a car mechanic. You have experience with working with batteries. My battery's broke. Can you fix it?" Right? So, me personally, I think the small language models, I mean, they have their advantages and disadvantages, but I think typically you're going to have more success with a small language model because it's more domain specific. Tends to be.
and once again, I have my personal knowledge. I don't really need the whole knowledge in the world, because what I also learned, there are always yes and no. You can meet two people in the same room, they will see the same thing, and for someone it will be black, for someone it will be red. And someone will see it as a yellow, someone will see it as a green, and the same color. And we are very, very different. Someone will see it as a good, someone will see it as a bad. So it doesn't really make sense to get all the knowledge in the world. You have to have some specific information that suits you, who you are, and suits your specific situation. So I don't really know all the knowledge in the world to move in my life. I need as knowledge as possible, but also I need to have as much knowledge as I need to be able to solve my specific situation. And I think that you can hear me. I hope so, because I
Yeah,
saw
I
that
can hear
there
you
was
now.
some
You kind of
connection
went out.
problem,
Yeah, you kind of went out a little
but
bit,
now
but I
we're
can hear
back.
you now. Yeah, I can
I feel
pull it
like
up.
it's getting a little bit late, and I think that my internet connection may be worse
It's-
because more and more people coming back home and they're starting to use internet. So
Yeah,
it's better to wrap up, because otherwise I cannot promise you a good internet connection.
yeah, all good, all good. Before you go, is there anything else you wanna touch on?
It's the only one thing that I'm continuously talking about, and I even have a newsletter called Friend Working, where I'm kind of like sharing with people how I build my personal connections and relationships, and how do we as humans can move forward much better when we go and meet and connect with other humans, and not in a way of what can I get from you, how can I benefit because of you, but more in a way like what are some similar things that we are working on, and how can we together move forward, both not how I can win because of you and you lose, but how can we win together. And I would say that's the number one thing. People always need other people, and if you are if you want to be happy, and there is a Harvard study of adult development. They've been doing it for over 80 years with 2 or 3 generations so far, and they prove that if you have great human connections, you live a longer and happier life. I really want to live a happier, I don't know about longer, who knows, I'm not that old so far, but at least happier life. So
Yeah.
I'm totally up to building some meaningful, great human connections, and I'm always inviting people to join me on this journey. So, people, let's build great human connections and let's move forward together.
Yeah, genuine connections, right? Yeah, I kudos
Yeah,
everything because yeah, like I'll go into a networked event. Let's say it's 100 people there, and my goal is to connect with two to three people, right?
it's the best part.
The younger me, I was trying to meet everybody in that room, and yeah, once I got like more seasoned, I realized like no, it's really the quality of the people you're meeting, and my best relationships aren't transactional, right? It's not like, I need to be cool with you so I can get this deal. It's more, like I said, it's more genuine. And those are the ones that really stand the test of time. So
It's about being a genuine you. And sometimes if you are clicking, both people will find a way to move forward. And sometimes you just meet someone and then you will never meet again. And it's also totally good.
it's
As
okay.
I've said, there are 8 billion people out there. You will definitely find your soulmates.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. Cool, cool. Well, Yuri, thanks for your time. Thanks, world, for joining us. Again, this is Corey. Stay trapping with the Trap Talks podcast, where we discuss the intersection of culture and tech. Hope to see y'all back again, and be out.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Documents in, decisions out. Go to doculingo.com/Trap Talks 2040 to get your 14-day free trial. And don't forget to sign up for our Patreon page. We out.